And so I was surprised to hear you use the term because historically, as you know, because I think you're quite brilliant, that woke is a word used by the Black community to note that we must be aware of social injustices.
But words migrate.
Why is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, and originally that was absolutely a great thing. Alert to injustice, who's not for that? But words do migrate. Now, I'll use any term you want.
Okay.
Because maybe that is a word that's triggering, and so let's not use that word. I don't know, want to call it the super far left, but don't tell me the left
or maybe the super far right.
Well, he's talking about the left. Well, then
okay, but we
picture this. Bright studio lights, a live audience trained to clap on cue, and sitting across from sunny Hostin, a man who did not come to play the game everyone else plays on daytime television. Bill Maher walked onto that set carrying something the mainstream media has been quietly terrified of for years: the truth. Not the polished version, not the approved version, the raw, unfiltered one. And within minutes, the entire tone of the show cracked right down the middle. You could feel it, the audience felt it. The panel felt it. And somewhere in a control room, a producer probably reached for a glass of water. But before this moment fully unravels, tap that subscribe button because you are going to want to be here for everything that happens next. Trust me. All right, back to the fire.
He's almost the same age as him.
I know.
But Trump doesn't present that way. You know, you look at somebody right away, you can kind of just sum them up. I mean, we are not young, but we don't present as old.
Yeah.
Biden does. I saw him yesterday making that speech.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, he's cadaver-like.
But his brain is good. He's still great.
Well, here's what I said. Like when I came back after the strike in September, I said, he should get out. Because he's just lost the faith of people. It's not fair. He's actually done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
But I said, he's going to be Ruth Bader Biden. That's the term I use. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She stayed too long at the fair. I remember Obama had her over to the White House, like in 2013, to hint, you know, hey, spend more time with the grandkids. That would not be a good idea, Ruth. And she didn't take the hint, and she was not in good health, and she stayed too long, and she ruined her legacy and got the Supreme Court now to be a pretty right-wing.
Then he said it out loud, on live television, in a room built specifically to protect the opposite opinion. Bill Maher looked straight ahead and admitted what half the country had been whispering for 2 years. Biden looks old. Not old like your favorite grandfather at Thanksgiving. Old in a way that voters simply cannot unsee. And that single sentence detonated like a firework inside a library. Because for months, cable news anchors had been sprinting in the opposite direction, insisting the cameras were lying, the clips were edited, the concerns were manufactured. Maher did not yell it. He did not perform it. He just said it, calm, flat, undeniable. And that quiet honesty was somehow louder than every shouting match The View has ever produced.
Me that in the first segment you used the term woke, and you said that woke is what was sort of ruining everything. And I know that you're
No, I didn't say ruining everything. I said that's why Trump could get reelected.
That's why Trump could get reelected.
Yeah.
So the term woke has been, in my view, co-opted by the right and weaponized and bastardized. And so I was surprised to hear you use the term because historically, as you know, because I think you're quite brilliant, that woke is a word used by the Black community to note that we must be aware of social injustices.
But words migrate.
Why is that a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, and originally that was absolutely a great thing. Alert to injustice, who's not for that? But words do migrate. Now, I'll use any term you want.
Okay.
Because maybe that is a word that's triggering, and so let's not use that word. I don't know, want to call it the super far left, but don't tell me the left
or maybe the super far right.
Well, he's talking about the left. Well, then
okay, but we talk.
But that was not even the strangest part. Watch what Sonny Hostin does next. Because this move is straight out of the modern debate playbook. Maher critiques woke culture. Not justice, not civil rights, not equality. A specific political style. And in the blink of an eye, Sonny reframes it as though he just personally insulted Martin Luther King. It is the oldest sleight of hand on television. You criticize the tactic, they defend the cause. You question the tone, they act like you attacked the mission. It is a trapdoor built into every argument, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Maher sees it instantly, and his face says absolutely everything his mouth does not.
You know, I can't say it enough. I think they're the bigger threat. But don't tell me that the left hasn't changed. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when it was the conservatives who hated the Jews.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a joke. But,
Too dark.
Well, maybe it is, but it's true. I mean, you know, if I had any doubt that I was right about the change that's happened in the left, watching people protest for a terrorist organization like Hamas, That straightened me up.
And here is where things completely unraveled. Maher tries to explain something almost every American already quietly understands, but nobody with a paycheck at MSNBC is allowed to say out loud. The word woke used to mean one thing, and now it means something else entirely. The language mutated, the meaning drifted, and a lot of former liberals woke up one morning realizing the movement they had cheered for in 2015 looks absolutely nothing like the one screaming at them in 2024. Maher is not attacking the past, he is mourning it. And that difference is exactly why so many lifelong Democrats now feel politically homeless, standing on a porch that used to be theirs, watching strangers rearrange the furniture inside.
It's astounding to me that they can't tell the good guys from the bad guys. I mean, just morally. I mean, let me tell you, if you're for Hamas, just live in Gaza for a day. And I'm not talking about while the war is on. I mean, before the war. Trust me, you would go running and screaming and begging to live in Tel Aviv, a place that has your values. I mean, women have no, I mean, this is a show watched by a lot of women. Women have no rights in this place. And a lot of majority Muslim countries around the world. I mean, there is no equal rights as far as speech, dress, opportunities for education, reproductive rights, freedom from sexual violence, freedom from sexual harassment.
The LGBTQ community.
I mean, yes. You that too. But you throw around the term apartheid. There is a gender apartheid.
And then the internet noticed something else. Maher stops the philosophy lecture and does something genuinely devastating. He pulls out the receipts. Women's rights, gay rights, free speech, religious freedom, and then holds them directly up against Hamas. Actual Hamas. The real thing, not the version being tweeted by a 19-year-old with a filter. And suddenly the entire moral high ground the panel had been confidently standing on turned into quicksand. Because you cannot cheer for progressive values one second, and then defend a regime that would execute your entire personality the next. Maher did not shout.
And they were attacked and they're defending themselves. Now, this is a war. Do you think Hamas needs to be destroyed? This is the question.
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
So how can we get out with a ceasefire?
All right. So Hamas needs to be destroyed because they are a terrorist organization who say openly that they want to commit genocide on the Jewish people, on the state of Israel. That's what from the river to the sea means. Okay? And they say it very openly. They said, we did this attack. They've attacked Israel 5 times. They've started 5 wars since they were given that land back. They could have chosen to turn that place into any place they wanted to. And they took a lot of money that they took from the international community and they spent it on bombs and guns and building tunnels. So if they need to be destroyed, how do we do that? It's a war. I don't know how to do that, and you don't know how to do that. I assume the Israeli... Of course, everybody is, but that's what happens in a war. Here's a way to stop that. Stop attacking.
He did not need to. The contradiction did the shouting for him. But the next moment changed everything. Watch what happens. The second the facts get too heavy, the subject shifts. Suddenly, it is no longer about who lit the match. It is about how bad the fire looks on camera. This is the media magic trick nobody ever talks about. War is horrifying, nobody is denying that. But horror on television is not the same thing as moral clarity. Maher calls it out with surgical precision. If you say Hamas must be defeated, you do not also get to pretend that defeat happens in a spotless white room with soft lighting. That is not policy, that is a Netflix pitch. And the panel had no answer, because deep down they all knew he was right. They just were not allowed to say so.
But a conservative once said to me, what you guys in the liberal side of it don't get about Donald Trump is we don't like him either.
Yeah.
It's just that in this country, it's binary. I mean, gender may not be binary, but politics is. You only get 2 choices. And the stuff that they are afraid of, they see Donald Trump as a bulwark against, and that stuff is a lot closer to the home. It's like my kid is coming home from school and they're not allowed to tell me if they're transitioning. The school is going to take the side of the kid over the parent. Stuff like that. There is a lot of crazy stuff on the left. This book, there's stuff that each side is going to like and probably stuff they're not going to like so much in there because that's the answer to the Donald Trump situation is what's going to get him elected is this woke stuff that a lot of people in this country just...
And now the moment, the one everyone has been clipping, the one that shut the room down for a full 3 seconds, which on live television may as well be an eternity. Maher looked directly at the panel and said, what half the Democratic Party whispers at dinner parties and flatly denies in public, some of the extreme. Voices on the left are hand-delivering votes to Donald Trump. Not Metaphorically, literally, every purple-haired activist screaming into a megaphone at a Whole Foods is essentially a Trump campaign volunteer in disguise. Hostin froze, not because it was rude, but because it was true. And truth on that stage, in that moment, hit like a thunderclap. You could hear the audience.
It's nothing.
Yeah.
And it's narrative over truth. You know, I mean, it's not like when I hear people talk on either side of it, I always think they're lying. They're just telling me half of it.
Yeah.
And I never trust them anywhere until I check out the other.
And then came the sentence that quietly summed up the entire era. Maher, almost tired of repeating it, said, "The story matters more than the facts." Let that sink in. The label matters more than the reality. The vibe matters more than the outcome. Group loyalty matters more than being right. That is the disease. That is the operating system running silently underneath every panel show, every campus meeting, every corporate memo. And Maher just yanked the wire straight out of the wall in front of a live audience. This is exactly why they do not invite him often. Because he does not play the game. He points at the board and asks who wrote the rules.
This is a word that's triggering, but I mean, those concepts that are different than they were 5 years ago. I mean, we used to do, well, you did it. I was a guest on what was the homeless show? Comic Relief.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
You were, great show.
Yeah.
And homeless was a term that I thought we kind of came up with because people were calling them bums and vagrants and hobos.
Now that's
homeless. No.
It's unhoused.
Well, it's people
Unhoused.
experiencing
Now it's
homelessness, but they're experiencing it on the street.
Yeah.
Okay. The liberal view of that was for compassion's sake. We're the liberals. For compassion. Let's get these people off the street.
Yeah.
That's not the view of the whatever word we're going to come up with for this. Their view of the homeless is they're an endangered species that needs to be protected in their natural habitat, living their best life.
What happened after that was even more revealing. Maher pivots to language, not policy, language. Because here's the thing nobody wants to admit. Modern politics has become a spelling bee for feelings. Homeless became unhoused, then unhoused was not gentle enough, then it became people experiencing houselessness. Meanwhile, the actual tents on the sidewalk kept multiplying. The problem did not shrink, the vocabulary just got longer. Maher held that mirror up so cleanly the entire studio squinted. Because if changing a word solved poverty, San Francisco would be a paradise by now. And last anyone checked, it is not. That is the punchline nobody laughed at, because it was not a joke.
For me, the bottom line is that the term woke is now being used to ridicule people who are advocating against social injustice. And I think it's become, sort of co-opted into this alleged culture war. And I was quite frankly insulted by what Bill Maher had to say. I think he completely missed the mark in so many ways. And we don't have time for me to outline them. But he.
And this is the moment that truly exposed the game. Hostin did not counter the argument. She said she was offended. That is it. That is the entire rebuttal. And listen, being offended is not a debate. It is a feeling. But somewhere along the way, feelings became a full substitute for logic on daytime television. Once I am offended becomes the trump card, the person with the better point automatically becomes the villain. It is an emotional force field. Nothing gets through, not facts, not history, not nuance. Maher recognized it instantly. He has been dodging that exact same shield for 2 decades. And on this particular day, he simply walked straight around it like it was not even there.
Hey, is this some? The Mandalorian's Gina Carano is a person I'd never heard of and resent that I have now. She's some conservative wrestling chick who kicks ass on a show I wouldn't watch if I was in prison. And she made some Nazi analogy. Who doesn't these days? You're like the Nazis is the new I don't like.
And here is the wildest part. Maher has been screaming this into the wind for a full decade. 10 years. He watched it coming like a slow-moving hurricane. The comedy shows changed, the colleges changed, the newsrooms changed, the friend group texts changed. And every single time he pointed at it, the same crowd told him he was old, out of touch, past his prime. Half the country is quietly nodding along right now because the man they tried to cancel 5 separate times keeps turning out to be right. And that is the twist Hollywood never saw coming. The comedian they laughed at turned out to be the one holding the mirror.
If he was alive today, he would too. And if you were alive then, you wouldn't. Portland Public Schools has a plan now to teach kids that the idea of gender being mainly binary was brought here by white colonizers. The curriculum guide says, when the United States was colonized by white settlers, their views around gender were forced upon the people already living here. Not even Star Trek would try that story. Where they discover a planet and give them separate bathrooms. It's like they finally discovered a unified theory of wokeness, incorporating all their ideas about race, gay, gender, and colonizers, like the New World was a great big diverse dance club and the Pilgrims were the bridge and tunnel crowd who came in and ruined.
This is where everything comes full circle, because the fight was never really about Sonny Hostin, and it was never really about Bill Maher. It was about the invisible pressure cooker inside modern media, the one that whispers to every host, every guest, every anchor, stay in line, smile bigger, agree faster, do not ask that question. Maher stepped directly into that pressure cooker, unscrewed the lid, and calmly walked out. And once one person refuses to follow the script, the entire illusion begins to crack. The lights look different, the applause sounds hollow, and the moral certainty starts to shimmer like a mirage dissolving in the desert heat. That is what viewers watched happen in real time. Not a debate, a demolition. If this breakdown hit you the way it hit me, smash that like button, share it with someone who needs to see it. Hit subscribe and ring the bell so the next collapse does not slip past you. Because, trust me, there's always another one coming.